Yeah, yeah. CL. Yeah. Yes, sir. Them other guys ain't got no style. We know what's up before it go down. This is the rundown. This is the rundown. If you ain't know the deal, I bet you know now. This is the fans' voice. You hear them vocals. This what the people need and what they want now. This is the rundown. This is the rundown. If you ain't know the deal, I bet you know now. This is the rundown. This is the rundown. This is the rundown. If you ain't know the deal, I bet you know now.
Exclusive Tony Fab.
Hey, it's the rundown, gotta know that. It's the rundown, gotta know that. Yeah. It's the rundown, gotta know that. Let's get it, yeah. It's the rundown, gotta know that.
Tony Fab Production.
There you go. What's happening? What up, though? What's going down, people? It's your homie CL. And I'm back on the Rundown Sports Podcast. Gotta know that. And I'd like to thank y'all for coming, joining me for this edition. Because it's a great day. Just like every day we doing the podcast. And you can always find us on therundown.com. That's DARUNDOWN.com. And if you like the podcast, please subscribe, rate and review on iTunes. You can subscribe on YouTube, get it every time it come out. Well, check for us on Stitcher and SoundCloud coming soon. Shout out Tony Fab for this beat. It's knocking. You gotta know it. So, we're gonna talk a little NFL later on in the week. So, I want to talk about a little boxing today. Because watching that Mayweather-Maidana Part 2 fight kind of made me realize a couple things. Boxing is probably going to die off because they're an arcade sport. The structure is wrong and they'll never be viable again in this climate. Now, coming on to talk a little boxing for me, I got JR Gamble from theshadowleague.com. If you don't know about the Shadow League, they have a cultural perspective when it comes to covering sports. So, they kind of changed the point of view or the point of preference. Or the point of reference, and it's pretty interesting. They're pretty big on boxing, and JR has some real interesting things to say in his blog post wrapping up the fight. So I had him come on, speak on that, what he's seen, future of boxing, and where does Floyd rank all time? So without further ado, let's get into it. Joining me today on the Rundown Sports Podcast, I have JR Gamble from the Shadow League. What's going on, JR?
Hey, CL, thank you for having me on today. Everything is good. Ready to talk some Mayweather.
All right, that's what's up, man, because I almost had forgot about the fight myself until a partner of mine had hit me up and was like, man, you ain't finna watch this fight? And I'm like, what fight? I'm like, man, I've been so wrapped up in the NFL, I haven't just picked my head up for 5 minutes.
Right, yeah. Another Mayweather fight, Part 2, Maidana. Another opponent of Mayweather's who people had hoped would give a better showing. With Mayweather fights, you often have to look at them in a different perspective than other fights. We judge his fights on basically how well someone can compete with him or how many times they hit him or when they had him under pressure versus if they seriously could win the fight.
Right.
So his fights have lost steam. Like you said, you didn't even remember that Mayweather fought. 5-8 years ago, that was an attraction. Everyone knew. People were rolling down to Vegas from everywhere in the country. If you're a big-time entertainer, high roller, legal or illegal, you were placing bets on that Mayweather fight. You know what I mean? You're putting down money, you trying to double up and on the Mayweather fight. But now, the bookies have reported, and the betting Vegas has reported that it's significantly down. Not a lot of people put money on the fight. Now, Mayweather's always a good bet. So to me, that means people are less interested, in the fight. It can't even compare to the bets that were placed when he fought Canelo Alvarez. So, the Mayweather story is losing its excitement, is losing its spark because, this isn't baseball, this isn't football, it's boxing. We love dynasties in those sports. We love teams to go undefeated. It's so rare. It's just as rare in boxing actually as team sports in a lot of instances for a person to go their whole career undefeated. But,
Okay. I was about to say, we're going to kind of get into Mayweather's place in history a little bit later. But first, let me get your thoughts on the fight. Now, this is a rematch that, for one, Floyd Mayweather doesn't do a lot of rematches. So this was a rare occasion to frame that with, first of all.
Right.
We all know Pacquiao fell out of contention when he just took it to the face and went down like a sniper was in the building. So this is probably as interesting as it was going to get for Mayweather. Me, myself, I see that you echo the same sentiment. Mayweather really came out looking like the smartest fighter in the ring on Saturday. And I don't know, you just tell me what you think. Did you think the score was right? Do you think the first fight had anything to do with the outcome? And was he even on Mayweather's level to begin with? I'm talking about Manana, of course.
Well, is he on Mayweather's level? No one's on Mayweather's level as far as the mastery, boxing, technical aspect of boxing, executing the craft, counter-punching, knowing defenses, being able to adjust your style as Mayweather has in fights in the past early in his career where he broke his hand and had to go southpaw against I think, Carlos Hernandez and still won. A tough fight. So he won the first fight. Maidana put on a good show. A good show against Mayweather is always overrated because he never really gets hit. He never really engages, so you don't get those battles. That's what boxing's built on. That's what legends are made. You can throw a 47-0 record, I guess, around in everyone's face, but the proof is in the pudding. Boxing's a man's sport. If you never get hit and you never get knocked down, how good are you really? Because what is the point of boxing is coming back from adversity. That's what the greatest champions have endured, from Jack Johnson to Muhammad Ali to Joe Louis. Name anybody you want, Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Sidman Hearn, Alexis Arguello. It doesn't matter. They've all gotten blasted, and they've all worked hard, dug deep down, found that resolve, and came back. And I put Floyd Mayweather, interestingly enough, in the same category of a Mike Tyson.
Had a little technical difficulty right there, but JR, why don't you go ahead and finish what you were saying, and I want to move on.
Okay. Yeah, so the second fight, basically was much of the same. Maidana hunting, Mayweather showing his skills, trying not to get hit, still trying to be pretty enough to hit that club up without having to make a stop at the hospital after the fight, and that's basically it. He is the smartest fighter ever because he learned from his uncle, he learned from his dad, who were prize fighters, and, they speak with slurs. They probably have some brain damage, certain things they can't do because of savagery of the sport, and he's trying to make sure that's not him. I don't know.
Okay, now that brings up an interesting point that I want to talk about as far as the future of boxing, because I think that's something that's hurting it. But let's talk about Mayweather as far as his place in history. You said, he's the undefeated boxer. We got a lot of people that we think of that we associate knockouts, heavyweights, and usually having some contemporaries with each one of the boxing legends. You know, there's always 3 or 4 people that's always in the conversation, but with Mayweather, it's just him. And he's not a heavyweight. He's a little guy. That dude weighs as much as I do. And it just it comes off a little different as far as comparing him to the other guys, but like you said, you can't discredit the guy for being smart. He doesn't get hit, doesn't get injured, and you might as well say it, but he's got the best marketing machine behind him, and it might be just off what he knows.
Yeah, and he's basically been the savior for boxing because he's, in the top 3 highest paid athletes in the world last decade or so. And if you take him out of the mix, boxing is truly, truly in trouble. 18 years. I would say this about Floyd Mayweather Jr. For 2 decades, he's been the most dominant fighter of his generation. Has he been the most exciting? No. Has he had the most guts? Questionable. I don't want to question a man's heart. But other than that, skills-wise, competition-wise, as far as who he's put in front of him, he never fought Cotton, he never fought Paul Williams, he never fought a couple of guys who could take him there, take him deep into those uncharted waters, those treacherous waters when you don't want to go anymore. Every fight's a picnic for this guy.
And it seems that way, that he's kind of handpicking the guys, not in that top tier, like you said, that could really give him a challenge. And I've been writing the last couple of days, and I came up with a solution for that. Now, my proposal is that we fold all the federations into one big federation. Now, I don't really know all the inner workings of boxing, but that's the only way that the sport will ever continue to be relevant. And what you need to do is just have a structure where, just like at any other level of boxing, you have a tournament to decide who gets to be number 1 and gets a chance at the belt. That way you can't duck anybody, because it's proven that's the number 1 guy, and the champion needs to be fighting them.
And you're right, CL, and that's a proven formula, not only in wrestling, which is not actually real, but remember when they had the boxing reality show? A lot of people watched that. That brought a lot of attention to boxing, and those guys were legit. And even if boxing needs to create contenders, create superstars. I thought it was the perfect recipe. All those guys weren't the greatest boxers, but guys like Cornelius Bundrag and who's the other guys, different guys that caliber, they were able to become superstars, celebrity superstars, without actually having to earn it through beating a lot of opponents. They created superstar boxing, people that were familiar with. And that's why they went on to get title shots and different things of that nature. So, that would be the best thing to do. That would create a true champion, and people would respect it more instead of guys walking into the ring with 4 different belts. No one knows what it is, the OBO, the UBI, the WBC.
Right, and I made the argument that probably 1 in 10 boxing fans could probably even name one of the federations that the belt goes to. And that's the first problem. If you don't even know who's running it, then it's hard to really respect it. Here in America, we have these sports leagues. They have commissioners. They have, people in check to make sure that the product continues to grow. Nobody is head starting that with boxing. And I really feel the future is real bleak for it if they don't really adopt what UFC is doing right now, which is getting on TV, getting into digital, having more content available. But I really think it's more about the money for the individuals.
Right. As I said, boxing, gladiator sport, blood sport. The people that run boxing don't want it to be more uniform. It's the Wild Wild West.
That's a good one.
Boxing has always been. It's for renegades. It's slavery, indentured slavery, ownership, strong arm deals under the table. That's still boxing, you know. Very powerful, very sketchy men running the show behind the scenes. They don't really want you to know who they are because it's not on the up and up in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, with boxing. So the guy that's making the moves definitely staying alone. Don King is about as much out there as he's going to be. Well, he already did his murder
Right.
fight, so he wasn't worried about it. He gave, you know, this black man, he already gave his 8 years. So, in the 60s. So he obviously has some connections that ran deeper than boxing, you know, which is another, you know, angle for boxing, why it's messed up and sketchy. And, you know, it's not a natural flow. It's impressive when guys like Floyd actually do branch out, and De La Hoya branch out and compete, you know, with the old regime for boxers and promotions and
Yeah,
things of
that's
that
really
nature.
where it's getting killed at. It's the promoters, and like you said, these underhand deals. And I literally just went to Google search and put crooked boxing promoters, and Wikipedia page for Don King comes right up. So that just tells you if the most well-known person that ever promoted the sport was a crooked person, that ain't a good look. Just point blank. So I don't really know what to tell people when it comes to boxing, or people that really like boxing. But as long as there's no one governing body to get that one brand marketing machine behind it to, you know, manufacture those stars and just keep an ebb and flow of, you know, people coming back and drawing attention, it's not going to get anywhere. But before I get you out of there, I see you be writing on a few different subjects when it comes to sports. So I want to jump off of boxing and just get you a couple takes off what you've been seeing in the NFL.
Yeah, the new drug policies. Yeah, you know, the NFL, like everybody has a problem with the NFL. I don't have a problem with that for the same reason a lot of people do. You know, I don't feel like the NFL should really be going, you know, out of their way to have domestic abuse as a platform. I don't feel like that's their responsibility. Totally wrong. You know, anytime somebody gets hurt in a situation like that, especially a relationship. But, you know, there's always deeper issues. And you know, all I see is really black men getting painted with a bad brush. You know, that's really what I see. Whether they're right or not, it's who you choose to put on blast, how you choose to put them on blast, because every race of person is capable of committing the same crime, you know? So, you know, in that case, Adrian Peterson's situation is crazy too, you know, but that's another situation. It's another domestic situation. Somebody raising their kids versus someone and how they treat their wife. You know, those are all different for all people. You know, some things are blanketly wrong, but everyone grows up differently, I guess. You know, and you have to suffer the consequences in the end. Josh Gordon and his new drug policy, I think the NFL has to have better support system for their players. These guys are young. You know, he's doing the scissor, he's doing the man.
All right, we had a little more technical difficulty on the end of that with JR. But basically what he went on to say is Josh Gordon is known to be on the scissor, on the marijuana, and the NFL doesn't put enough emphasis on recovery. And even in the new drug reform, still not enough emphasis on recovery, and that's really the big picture. It's kind of a mirror of what things going on in society, where the police have more emphasis on getting the drugs out of the streets than it is getting the drugs out of the people. I could go in on that subject alone, but I'm just going to shout out to the homie JR from theshadowleague.com coming on once again. If y'all want to get at him on Twitter, he is the Fanalist1. FANALYST1. I like that Twitter handle. So you want to get at us, comments, whatever you want to throw at us, that's at The Rundown Sports on Twitter. I'm at CL The Main Event on Twitter. You can even shoot us an email, call us, Hit us on Facebook, Google+. You can find all that at therundown.com, and anything else you might need when it comes to Atlanta sports and music. You gotta know that. I am your host, CL, and we out here. Peace.